There you go.
Oh, baby, we are back again. I feel like we say this every time we do this. We take like 3 weeks off.
Yeah, well, it's a weird period right now. No MLS means no consistency.
Yeah, but we do have a little bit of cool content in episode 133. That's right. I'm on top of things today.
Wow, I pulled it up
130.
expecting that you were not going to be ready. I'm not going to lie to you.
I pulled it up before we started because I wasn't going to mess it up. Um, it is a weird off-season period where we're about to open up the winter transfer window, aren't we? So it's time to take a look at each team and the players that we think maybe can either make a jump tomorrow or ones to watch for this year. Players who could have a big breakout year this year, um, and maybe get themselves ready for a move this time next year. It is the Designated Players Podcast. I'm here with Connor. Connor, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm not doing too bad. How are you?
I'm tired, man. I just drove 6 hours to get back to Alfred, to back to the recording studio, if you will. Um, So I'm tired, but I'm ready to record here. I'm ready to chat MLS because that's what we like to do here. And before we do any of that, of course, I got to ask you what your scarf of the week is. It looks unique.
It is a new scarf and fitting with the theme,
Ooh.
considering the fact that this team has sold their entire team to Europe. I've busted out the CF Montreal scarf.
I like that. I like that a
Sorry,
lot.
let me fix the light. The light's kind of, I feel like, making it a little weird, but yeah, it's a
You
nice
know,
one,
I like that.
honestly.
I think it looks nice.
Yeah, I
I
liked it.
also I also have a new scarf, funny enough. You already know what it is. This is the USA One Nation, and there's only one team in the USA that we care about. So when we talk about one team, it's got Red Bull on the other side. One nation, my nation. One team, my team. It is a perfect scarf for me. I do have to admit. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna have to challenge you. A little side note before we get started here. I got a friend who is joining Red Bull Army next this season, this upcoming season, and she asked me that, what's the team history like? Tell me about the team. And I go, oh, where do you want me to start? So you know how great our history is. So she's like, "Oh, we should do that thing that I see on TikTok all the time. Like we should make PowerPoints for it. Those are like PowerPoint presentation nights. I have a 75 slide PowerPoint of Red Bull history from
Yeah, that
2007
doesn't surprise me at
to
all.
this year.
Honestly, you know what? I'll correct myself. I'm a little surprised you didn't hit triple digits.
I'm not done yet. I've still got 3 years
Oh,
to
okay. So this is just chapter one.
go. This is part two. I skipped out from year one to 2006. I did that through text message a couple weeks ago. If I were
You're
to add it, it'd probably be like a buck 50. Yeah,
you're on
but
you're on slide 75 still on the Metro Stars.
bro, I definitely could. Yeah, you got to make one for Atlanta so we can compare.
Well, mine's gonna be like 40 slides considering we've only been around for like 5 years.
Yeah, I know, but still, you got to do that.
Well,
Um,
I'd like to see if I'm gonna do that, I'd like to see a Red Bull one just so I can kind of see
oh,
like
I
what theme
you
you're going
really
for.
you really think I'm going to make a 75 slide Red Bull presentation and not make you read it? Really?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Um, since we're going team by team, there's only one way to go team by team, isn't there?
That would be a randomizer.
You're dang right there would be. I'm going to put the randomizer together right now. Um, so here's the thing. Let's start off talking really quick. When in the world did Benji Kikanovic become legit?
I guess last season. I mean, that's
Because
probably an
all
obvious statement, but
yeah, I saw the rumors, and we'll talk about it as we get closer to the San Jose. But goodness me, out of nowhere, this guy is like, oh yeah, he's gonna go move to Europe. Like, bro, I didn't even think he played last year. Was it because they were so bad I didn't watch any of their games? Maybe.
is he potentially on FC Dallas? Also, maybe.
Is he a real player? I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of
Um,
shocking that he's getting the attention for a move, considering they have a guy on this team who's like literally only 2 years older and scored 11 more goals than
That's what I
Benji.
mean, right? Where did this guy come from?
Yeah, I don't know. Got to have like connections or something. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
not to say that he's not a
he's going
quality.
with Almeida. Almeida's trying to bring him over.
Where's Almeida?
In Greece. He's at AEK Athens.
How did Almeida go from the disaster class that was his time at San Jose and get a job in Europe?
I have no idea. Um, what I will say is that San Jose is the back end of this list. So we won't be talking about that for a little bit more. But where do you think we're starting? If you had to guess, there are 28 teams in there. Where do you think we're starting?
I think we're gonna start in Charlotte.
No, but you were close. Chicago.
Okay.
This one's pretty obvious. His name's been floating around a ton. John Duran. This guy led the team last year with 8 goals in just under 1,400 minutes. Top European clubs are checking in on him. He's 19 years old. He got his Colombian senior team call up this year, and he will be massive in the U20 World Cup. If he isn't gone by the start of this year, there will be a very difficult decision for this team to make midseason on if they're going to keep him or not, and it will depend on if they're in the playoffs or not. If they're out, he's gone.
Which I could definitely see being the case.
I don't know what you're talking about. Kasper Schmeichel is winning Golden Boot. I don't know if I told you,
Oh,
but
he's going back to back. Is that what you're
my
saying?
bold prediction was actually for this year. Funny enough.
Oh, okay. You must have just got your notes mixed up.
Yeah, my bad.
Gotcha.
Did
Yeah,
you have anybody different?
I mean, I have a full list. I tried to go through like everybody and then just see who I thought could make like a move right now. I mean, I could be way off on some of these guys, but I had him on my list, of course. I think that's an obvious one. I also put I put Gaga Slonina. Obviously, he already moved to Europe. He was just here on loan. I don't know. I would assume he may go on loan again, but I don't know to where. Then I also put Federico Navarro on this list. 21 years old, played almost 1,000 minutes this 2 seasons ago, and then last season played 2,500 minutes. Consistent game time for them at such a young age. I feel like that will automatically trigger some interest in Europe. I'm not expecting him to move to like a top team in Europe, but I think he could definitely jump to a team in Europe. And I think he would garner interest considering that he is young and getting consistent top level game time. Then the last person I put on was Brian Gutierrez, 18 years old, played 1,600 minutes for them last season with 2 goals and 5 assists. I think any 18-year-old that's playing 1,600 top level minutes already is going to garner interest. So would not surprise me if he got a jump.
I would. So the way I did mine for people listening is I picked one who could make a move right now if I saw one. Some teams didn't have it. But I also picked some to keep an eye on, people who could come in and make a really big impact. Gutierrez is one of those where, yes, he's been there, but I wouldn't say he's ready for a move right now. I think he's more one for the future. Maybe next, this time next year, if he repeats that performance. The other two that I had in that same category are Chris Brady and Alex Moniz. Chris Brady being the goalkeeper for the US U20s, U23, I think just U20s. There is so much hype around this guy. I've seen mock US MNT 26 World Cup rosters with his name in it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the dude's got a ton of. Oh man, brought out the wrongs. He was a forward Madison Loney for a while. So, as was Moniz. Both of these guys have been playing really, really well at the youth level. With Slonina gone, I haven't seen any big goalkeepers moving to Chicago, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is Chris Brady's goal this year.
Yeah, go for it. Worked out last time he put a 17-year-old in goal.
That's what I mean, right? And if it's on the same level, which is crazy. And then Alex Moniz is in the same boat. Tons of hype in the youth system, and I believe Jason was talking about it when we had him on last episode. Was our youth teams are absolutely crushing teams, like 4-1, 5-1 top youth teams. These guys are a part of it. So Definitely two to keep an eye on there, along with Gutierrez. If he can repeat that season that he had last year, get a few more goal contributions, really be the focus man in that group. Those guys could all be in this. We can have this conversation next year, and they can be in the top tier of these guys are ready to go.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that Gutierrez should move. I think another year to like really solidify consistent starting spot, considering he only started 20 out of 33 games last year. If he can be an out and out starter for one more season, he can really like solidify a good move to Europe. I'm just saying, I think considering the fact that he played 1,600 minutes at 18 years old, I think that would garner interest that if he really wanted to make a move, I think he could. I don't think he should though.
If they had won something, or let me rephrase, if they had not been like third to last in the league, sure. But because he hasn't, he was just playing. He wasn't really making that massive impact, in my opinion. So I think he needs a year where he is a 5 goal, 7 assist guy on a team that is at least vying for the playoffs. If he can be that guy, then you're going to see more people push for his signature. But
I
until
think
he is, I don't think you see people moving. But let's move on to a team that is having a conference identity crisis.
so that would be Nashville.
This team is going to flip every time we add a team. They're going to be the one that flip flop, flip flop, flip flop.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what you saw in this team. Remember, there is only one correct answer here, so don't mess it up.
Well, obviously, I would say there's a very obvious person who should get a move to Europe. And sadly enough, because I would love to see him playing in MLS for a much longer period of time. And that would be Jacob Schaffelberg. I think
Wrong.
22 years old. No, Hani Mukhtar, league MVP, or should have been league MVP back to back. He's been phenomenal coming to Nashville. Way better than I thought he was going to be, because I think he had a little bit of a slow start when he first came to MLS, if I remember right. And he is just absolutely, yeah, he had 4 goals, 3 assists in his first season. It's not, by no means is that bad, but what he was able to do the 2 seasons after that, yeah, makes that output look pretty poor. He's phenomenal. He's only 26 years old. This dude can go to a European team right now and start. So he was one I had on my list. And then I actually only had one other person. I am open to hearing like other suggestions, but the only other person that I said could probably make a move right now is Jack Mayer. I think Jack Mayer can make a jump to a lower level European team, and start to build some development. I mean, he got pretty consistent minutes for Nashville last year, and I think he's a pretty solid defender. He's young. I think he'd be a little bit of a project. I don't think he's the strongest defender that you can grab from MLS right now, but I think he would be worth the risk if you're like a lower level European team.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't need to send a film crew to find out where he lives.
That's true. Gotta know
However,
immediately.
So no, I don't hate that. Really, after Walker Zimmerman's performance in the World Cup, I wouldn't be shocked if especially with the success that Tim Ream has been having at an older age, if a lower level championship side comes in and is like, hey, why don't we go for this? I also had Hani Mukhtar on there. Would not be surprised if the Bundesliga comes calling for him.
100%.
And I'm sure people have already inquired about him, but Nashville is in no position to let him go. Would not be surprised if by the end of this season, Nashville's got a DP lined up to replace him, and they're saying, okay, we're gonna throw 20 mil on him, come take him, and they say, okay. The clear and obvious choice, Alex Mawil, if he doesn't get a move to Real Madrid, Juventus, any of those teams for at least $3 billion, this league is rigged, and I don't want to hear about it. But the other thing to note is Ake Loba is looking like he's on his way out. There's a Mexican team, Mazatlan, looking to sign him. He made a big money move and just never really got going. To be fair, CJ Sapong beat him out. He just never really got going in this team, and they can take the money that they're paying him and do a lot more with it. So good to see him on his way out. I don't know a lot about their youth system. Again, they're a newer team. There aren't too many homegrown players in this side that are primed to make a move. Jack Mayer is probably the closest as a draft pick there, but again, and you've got Randall Leal too. A lot of people have forgotten about him. He had 15 goal contributions this year. So if we're looking at him and I'm sorry, not this year, in 2020, excuse me.
I was gonna say, I'm like, did I miss something?
Nope, he had 15 in 2021. And this year he did fall off a little bit, but it's not crazy to believe that he can step back up to that form. And he had 7 goal contributions this year, mainly assists, less goals. But that's because Hani Mukhtar was taking them all. It's not unheard of if Hani Mukhtar drops to 15 goals this year that Randall Leal gets to 8 or 9. And if he does, I wouldn't be shocked to see him move either.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what I was thinking about for Leal. I think at his level when he was here the first season, I think he could easily get a move to Europe. But I think with the small step back that he had last year, I'd want to see him get back to that level before he made the jump. So I think another season would do him well. I have a question for you, though, quickly on Walker Zimmerman. If you're in his shoes, would you take a move to a low-level championship side, or would you stay here, potentially get designated player money, and, I guess if you're getting consistent game time still here, keep yourself in the running for the national team?
I don't think he gets designated player money. I don't. I think they'll use that for more important signing. They got other areas that they need to strengthen, where Walker Zimmerman is easier replaced than, let's say, a Hani Mukhtar is, right? That being said, the level of play, it's a lateral move, low-level championship to Nashville and MLS, lateral. And I will take all the Eurosnob hate for that. I've watched lower-level championship. It is not impressive.
I would argue that we're better than low-level.
I would too. I'm being nice about it. He would be successful in that setup. It's a lot more physical, in the air, being strong, defending. That's his setup. He'd be successful there, and moving there and being successful, I don't think rules him out of World Cup 26. I don't think he's in the running for World Cup 26 if everybody's healthy, if I'm being completely honest.
We have stuff before World Cup 26 that he could still be involved in.
Sure, and if you make a move over, I don't know if, and again, that might be the time we're starting to rotate again. Now, maybe Walker sticks around for Nations League, but at the same time, if I'm Greg, do I need Walker Zimmerman to play against Guam?
No,
not really.
Of course not.
No. So, if a team like Everton, who's going to be 17th in the championship by this time next year, comes calling, I'm gone. Personally.
I don't know if I could do it if I were him. I mean, if Stoke City or like Middlesbrough come knocking at the door, I don't know if there's an appeal enough that I want to go consistently play in the championship where I can be the face of this team here, potentially go and win championships and still get paid good money. Maybe not DP money. I kind of agree with you there, but still get paid very good money.
First off, where's my phone? I'm calling Jason saying that Stoke doesn't have an appeal.
Yeah, go ahead. He'll agree with me.
Secondly, I don't think you pass that up, especially a Stoke or a Middlesbrough, who right now they are mid-table, but to play at that level with some of those players who are still very, very good. I mean, look at Harry Suter, right? The praise that he got for his performance in the World Cup put Stoke back on the map. I think I think it's worth it. I don't know if the money matters at this point. I mean, he's got a couple mil in his bank account. I think he'll be okay. But that's just me.
I feel like the whole purpose of the championship, you have one of two goals. It's either to stick with your club and potentially get promoted to the Prem, where you get life-changing money, or you're a young player that's looking to make a name for yourself and then get a move to the Prem. I don't think Walker Zimmerman would fall into either of those categories unless someone like Burnley or like Sheffield United came knocking on the door for him, which I mean, I don't think they would. I feel like they kind of have their own system, and I don't think Walker Zimmerman is what they look for in particular. I don't think Walker Zimmerman, he's getting close to our beloved age 30, and I just don't think that he's in a position where he can like ride out consistent championship seasons with like Swansea or Cardiff. And he's not super young, so I don't think he's going to be like playing in the championship to get a move to the Prem. I don't think the Prem's going to be looking to sign like a 30-year-old center back from a championship side. So, I mean, that's just me personally. That's just how I'm thinking about it. But we can
My
obviously have
last
differing
my last
opinions.
note on this, because we have 26 more teams we need to talk
Yeah.
about. And you decided to talk about Walker Zimmerman for 7 minutes. Arsenal signed Matt Turner and Aaron Austin Trusty. You have no idea what these teams are looking for. You tell me that Aaron Austin Trusty was on your list of players to make a move to Arsenal?
Okay, the trusty one I'll give you. The Turner one I feel like could be valid, but the trusty one, yeah, that was out
Yeah.
of nowhere.
You don't know what teams are looking for or what mold is being fit where, and you know, again, you don't know if you sign for a club for 3 years and they're mid-table right now. You don't know what other signings they have lined up. They could bring in two more world beaters and be top of the table by next year. And now you can't just say, oh well, they're not there right now. I don't want to go. Anyways, moving on, we've got a record-breaking, maybe record-setting team.
Okay.
All right, we're going to move on then to a record-breaking, record-setting team.
Ooh, LAFC?
No, Seattle.
No, breaking
I
records in the wrong direction.
no, the CONCACAF Champions League.
Oh, I thought you were insinuating because they didn't make the playoffs for the first time.
No, no, no. That's ending a good record, something the Red Bulls don't know how to do because we just keep getting to the playoffs. Massive Arsenal vibes, by the way. Yeah, that's right. We'll take fourth place. We'll take seventh place every year. That means we're still in the playoffs.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
much.
I've only got one player on my list here as a probably should be getting looks right now, and that is Nuhu Tolo. How this man doesn't, after every international, you know, game that he plays, the only thing that I hear is, God, this guy's a beast. This guy's a beast. Can't wait to watch him lock down this player, that player, this player. And yet I haven't heard a single word about where he's going next. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, I love having him in the league, but I mean, how are you're not getting any looks out of that, you know? This team, Seattle, after the year that they just had, they're looking to add players, not subtract. So I don't expect them to be massive sellers at the deadline, but it's just something to keep in mind.
And then who's your one to watch?
I've just got the entire pipeline that they brought up over the last couple of years. So Danny Leva, Obed Vargas, Josh Atencio, Baker Whitting, Chu, Doblair, Tevez, any one of those guys given proper time in this system will ball. And when they do, they'll get looks. So anybody in that class of 18 to 21-year-olds who are going to absolutely show up. But I'd say if I had to pick one, it'd be Obed Vargas is probably the closest to be the next guy out.
So I also have Nuhu on my list. I 100% think that Nuhu could make a jump to a European team. And then youngster wise, I've got Danny Leva, Obed Vargas, Baker Whitting. I think I'd probably want to see a little bit more consistency in game time from Leo Chu or Josh Atencio before I'd say that they could make the jump to Europe. Not that they couldn't make it, but I think it would just be helpful in terms of them getting like a good move to Europe rather than just getting stuck in like a youth team.
Mm-hmm.
I had actually a surprising number of players that I think could make a jump to Europe right now, and I think you're going to probably disagree with a number of them. And I'm not saying they could move to a top level European team. They couldn't probably do it in the Prem. I would say more championship level, like maybe low level France or Germany, or maybe they go to Belgium. Belgium seems to be a
Please,
hot spot for us.
Please just give me the clip of you saying Jordan Morris to the Premier League so I can get TikTok riled up, please.
No, no, but Jordan Morris is on my list, but he's not going to the Premier League.
Come
Um,
on, you're telling me that Man City couldn't pair him up with Erling Haaland and he wouldn't have at least 12 assists.
Listen, all I'm saying is if Jordan Morris and Erling Haaland were on the field together right now, they would have at least 20 goals combined between the two of them.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's statistically a fact. Okay, so I said Nuhu, I said Jordan Morris, I said Arriaga, I said both Roldans, and that's it. I think that they can make a move to like a Belgian team or like a Dutch team or a championship team and get starting game time.
So what I want to be cautious of is equating a move to Europe with being a step up. And we talked about how the championship is a sideways move. I think Belgium's a sideways move. So the way I always saw it was like how if this player made a move, would it be a step up for them? Because yeah, we're gonna send people over to Belgium and they're gonna pay the money for it because we can't. But the way I always looked at it was like, are they going to improve their career that way? I don't know if Arriaga does that. I don't know if Alex Roldan does that. At this point, I don't know if Jordan Morris does that. And I think Christian Roldan might be the only person there who could make a lateral move and improve his career. Like Alex Roldan is already captaining El Salvador. Moving to Belgium doesn't make him captain El Salvador more gooder, right?
No, but
Xavier Arriaga doesn't start in the center back line for Ecuador. We saw that in the World Cup. Him going to Belgium or the championship and getting less, he got 2,200 minutes this year. Him going to Belgium, cutting that in half, doesn't jump him over to Hincapié, right? Jordan Morris, 2,300 minutes, 7 goals, 2 assists, World Cup appearance, right? Putting him in Belgium isn't going to make him score 17 more goals against Guam because that's the only other chance he's going to get with the national team. Do I think they could? Sure. I think a ton of people could make that move. Albert Rusnak could make that move. Raul Rui Diaz could make that move, but does it matter? And that's the way I always thought.
So I want to say a couple things. One, I think that at the moment, yes, I do think Belgium and places like Scotland and the Netherlands are better leagues than MLS. So I don't think it's a sideways move for them.
Belgium?
Yeah.
I'll give you the Eredivisie. Scotland and Belgium, no shot.
Then why are young players from MLS moving to Belgium to develop more? No.
It's always money. How long have we been doing this show? I tell you this every time.
Well, you can go move to Belgium to get more attention from other European teams and to develop more because now they're playing directly. If you're moving like Mark McKenzie or Cameron Carter-Vickers, you're now playing against these bigger teams in European competitions where they're like forced to have their eyes on you because you're playing directly against them versus playing in MLS where you're just playing against other American teams or other Mexican teams or occasionally some Canadian teams. But if you move to Europe, even if you're saying the talent level isn't better in Belgium, which I disagree, I think the talent level in Belgium and Scotland is better at the top than it is across MLS.
Name the bottom 3 teams in Scotland and Belgium right now. Don't Google it.
I don't care about the bottom 3 teams. They're not moving to the bottom 3 teams.
What you're doing is you're comparing the top. You're saying the top 4 teams in Belgium and the top 2 teams in Scotland make up for the rest of their crappy league, and it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. Now, here's what I'll tell you. I agree with the way that you're approaching it in the sense that they're getting better exposure. Yeah, because they're playing in European competitions, right? They're playing against low-level Prem sides and the mid-tier German sides, right? I'll give you that because you're right. Then they have to look at them. but it doesn't mean that they're instantly going to get a better, right? If you put Jordan Morris and Xavier Arriaga on the third or fourth best team in Belgium, maybe they're getting starting minutes. And maybe they're getting seen by other clubs. Not everybody's a Mark McKenzie. Just saying. But you can't make the distinction that just because Scotland has two good teams, that the rest of their clubs are going to instantly be, look at Chris Mueller is a perfect example. He moved to the third best team in Scotland and was back within a year and a half. Because if you're not in the top two, you're not anything. Okay, guy who Googles, tell me what you're looking at. And we can't stay on this forever because we need to move on. We are 3 teams in.
First of all, Hibs is not the third best team in Scotland. That's what I was first Googling.
Where are they?
They're in 8th right now.
Well, that's my point.
Well, he also moved on a free. I don't know. It didn't seem like it was like, oh, we're scouting him to grab him from Orlando. It was like, he's available. Let's take him.
What does the price tag matter, though? It doesn't. Not for this argument, it doesn't.
If you're moving to a Celtic or a Rangers or like a Genk or an Anderlecht, like I said before, you're going to have more eyes on you. I think from a national team perspective, which I don't think that's the end all be all. The goal shouldn't be, oh, I need to make a move so that I can solely for the purpose of I need to play in my national team. It's to advance your career and ultimately either one, get paid more, or two, for the prestige of playing for better teams, which you're going to do if you're playing for some of the higher level teams in Scotland and Belgium. Because if you take a Cameron Carter-Vickers and you stick him on LAFC and he's playing week in, week out, he's going to look great, but he's playing on LAFC. Versus you do the same thing where he's playing in a Celtic team right now that looks unbeatable. He's going to have way more eyes on him and way better clubs coming for him because he's doing it on a better team that has more prestige and has more, what's the right way to say it? More experience with sending out better quality than MLS, who's done it on a smaller sample size. Okay. There's more faith in the Celtic product than in the LAFC product.
This could be an episode all on its own because you're getting very Euro-snobby on me and I will put you in your place. But here are my last 2 points. First off, Cameron Carter-Vickers never stepped foot in MLS.
I know he did.
Not a fair comparison. It's not. He came from Europe. Not a fair comparison. Secondly, how many of the guys that you just listed are making significant impacts at the Celtic, at the Rangers, at the Anderlecht, at the Genks? Xavier Arriaga is not doing it. Lewis Morgan's better than Jordan Morris, and Lewis Morgan got let go from Celtic. So Jordan Morris is not making a Celtic team.
Yeah, Lewis Morgan got let go years ago. Guys can revive their careers.
They saw nothing in him, and he's better than him right now. So they're not going to take somebody who's worse than a guy they let go. Who's the other one? Christian Roldan, maybe. You could stick Christian Roldan in a top team in Belgium, and I think he'd be okay. Especially when you're giving him his 15-minute cameo every 7 games, because that's the only way he can play. And who was the last one? Alex Roldan. Alex Roldan wouldn't get past Michael Murillo at Anderlecht. Stop.
He could get past Michael Murillo at Anderlecht.
No, he couldn't. What are you talking? Oh, my God. We're moving on. I'm not doing this. Out of your mind.
All right, yeah, let's move on. We still have like 25 teams to go.
Yeah, because you keep going on with dumb stuff. Stop saying dumb things so we can just get through this.
All right, hold on. I have to pause again.
All right, now that I've put you in your place, let's move way down south.
Way down south. That could be a few teams. I'll guess Austin.
Inter Miami. Straight south. Talk to me about them.
Inter Miami. I've only got a couple names on my list. I would say could move for sure right now. 2 are kind of like for the future, but I still think could make a move. I've got Leo Campagna, obviously. I think he was on loan, right? Like, I don't know if he's actually.
So they just made him official, which is why he's not on my list. But yes, he has put the output on loan. That if he does it again next season, yeah, he could definitely go to the next step.
Okay. Well, I mean, assuming that he was fully signed, I think the season that he just put in, he could 100% make a jump to a European team. And I also put Bryce Duke and I put Noah Allen on my list of guys that I think a little bit more for the future, but I still think have the hype and the game time to get a move to Europe.
Yeah, no, I like those names. I also had Bryce Duke if he can break in and take over Gregory Jean Mota, or even playing that advanced role. I don't know if Pozuelo has come back. I know they didn't re-sign him off the bat. I don't know if they will. So if he doesn't, he could fit into that attacking role. There could be a shape change, however that works. The rest of the team is old and doesn't really have a lot. Robbie Robinson didn't come back. Leo Campagna, like we mentioned, just came in this year. There's no way he's going to move. Players to watch. I didn't put Noah Allen on there because he was poor when he did play. There's potential there for sure. But we got to be patient with it. We can't rush him into it. But Inter Miami has one of the most promising youth systems in the country right now. The players that they're turning out of that youth system are something unbelievable. So give it this time next year, you might have 4 or 5 guys at 18, 19 years old that are going to be making significant impacts in 2024. So not a lot to talk about Inter Miami. Again, the teams that don't have super crazy years. I mean, this guy Gonzalo Higuain, he could probably make a move, right? 16 goals.
Make a move to the retirement home.
No, so again, the team's a little bit older. They didn't have a great year, so come back in 12 months. Let's talk about players who can, impress. Again, Gregory is one of those guys who is the leader of this team, and if they can, if Bryce Duke shows that he can fill that space as an 8-10 even, you might see Gregory go for a move. But
yeah, I can see that too. That's
not a lot to share on that side. Enemies of the pod number 1.
Number 1, the OG Minnesota United.
The OG Minnesota United. Spoiler alert: they're dead last this year.
Oh boy, here we go. It's starting early.
They're dead last in the West, followed by FCC dead last in the East. Don't you dare cross this podcast.
Oh boy. You want to kick this off after that one?
I will.
I'm going to assume you're going to say nobody after that.
Are you give like something on my screen? Minnesota, nobody. Their whole team sucks, and nobody wants their players. Is that good enough for you?
Sure.
I'm watching Hassani Dotson and I'm watching Kervin Arriaga. I think those two guys have, with Hassani Dotson being so versatile, playing either outside back spot, all across the midfield. I think a lot of teams can see his ability and maybe put him in there. I know he was not coming off a ton of appearances, but he's always been somebody to watch. He was in the US U23. I believe he was hurt last season, so something to keep an eye on there. But Arriaga at 24 years old has the ability to come in. He's just one of those enforcing, crunching type of center mids that I think has the ability to come in and be really impressive. I didn't see a lot of players at in the youth, 18, 17, 16 years old that are ready to make that next step. However, they did just lose the one guy I thought that was going to be there was Azil Jackson, who went to St. Louis. So not a ton coming up, but I do think Arriaga has that South American CDM fit where he's going to come in and crunch you. So somebody to watch for sure.
So I've also got Hassani Dotson on there. Although Dotson is coming off an injury season, I think, considering he only played 7 games last year.
Yes, that's what I'm assuming. Sorry, before you continue, I left the obvious ones off, right? Reynoso, yes. Everybody knows Reynoso is a top 5 player in the league and can make a move whenever he wants. I don't think Minnesota's ready to let go of the only player that has brought them to the playoffs for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I have Reynoso on my list, not because I think Minnesota will let him go, but because he can. 26 years old, and he's been one of the best players in this league. 100% could make a move to Europe tomorrow if he wanted to. It's just whether or not Minnesota would let him. And the last person I had on my list is Dane Sinclair. I think Dane should stay one more season at least, and then I think he could make a jump, but I think he has the quality. I think now that Tyler Miller is gone and it's finally his net and solely his net, unless they make some stupid move and bring someone else in to compete, I think he should stay the season, lock it down for a full season, and then after he's done balling out, go make a move to Europe because I think he has the quality to do so.
So here's what I will tell you is that Dane Sinclair goes nowhere until he can start for Canada. There is the rule, the international rule that you don't get a visa if you don't play for your national team. It's the reason Andre Blake is still here. Because if Andre Blake was not Jamaican and if he was gosh, hell, even let's say he was I can't think of a country right now in Africa. Cameroonian.
Cameroonian.
Yeah, let's go Cameroonian, right? The level for the Cameroonian visa is higher than Jamaica. The number of caps you need for Jamaica are ridiculous. So that's the reason that he can't get a visa to go over there. Otherwise, he'd be there in a heartbeat. Minnesota did just sign Clint Irwin, but I don't assume that he'll take over anything from Dane. But I don't think Dane goes anywhere until.
But then how does Alphonso Davies and Ismail Kone get moves then?
There's a review board, a review panel that says if a player is high profile, like high potential enough. So,
are you just talking about English permits?
I have no idea. I think it was Europe.
I would think it depends country by country.
It might do.
But even if he needs to be starting, I think he's got a shot at it at the moment because Crepeau's gonna probably be out for a while. Borjan's only getting older. I feel like Dane's next in line then.
Or would it be Pantemis?
I feel like full season Dane beats out Pantemis on a struggling Montreal team.
New rules come into place for EPL and EFL work permits. Club will now need to apply for a governing body endorsement for a work permit for pretty much any overseas player who doesn't hold a British passport. Many clubs struggle to get work permits for outside the EU. Some clubs would still sign African or South American players, but would send them out for loan. So they're saying players 18 or over playing regularly in the top 5 leagues in Europe basically are guaranteed a work permit. Regular internationals for a top 50 ranked nation guaranteed a work permit. That is the verbiage. Because Jamaica will never be top 50 in the FIFA rankings, it'll be so hard for him to get a move.
Yeah, but now, we're talking about Dane. We're not talking about Andre Blake. Canada are top 50. No,
but Canada's not top 50. They just dropped out.
Oh, did they? With the new rankings?
Yeah, they just dropped out. So again, that makes things a lot tougher. Now, again, could he be signed and then loaned to a different one? I don't know if there are rules outside of that, but that is the line that
or he just doesn't move to England. He moves to, like, again, Belgium, Netherlands. I don't know, somewhere like that. Develop a little
Copa
bit more.
Libertadores and Sudamericana minutes are highly valued. Work permits are almost guaranteed there as well. But that is, I just found the line. So yeah, it sounds like it is more just for EPL, EFL, but I don't know if there are other rules for how do you say?
I would assume the other countries have different rules. I mean, I don't think they're going to all have the same permit rules, but we'll see what happens. I mean, like I said Dane should stay for another year. I think if he does that, Minnesota's playing well and he's playing consistently, he could definitely challenge for a Canadian starting spot in that team. And I think by then, Canada will jump up. Canada, in my opinion, is definitely a top 50 team. And they will move up the 3 spots that they need to jump into the top 50. We'll see what happens. I just think Dane has the quality to make a move to Europe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. We are going to record this thing for 3 hours. Oh, Enemies of the Pod number 2. What's up?
Oh, wow. That's convenient.
Yeah.
FCC
is back, baby. Yeah, so obviously the front three, any of those guys could move tomorrow. Brenner, Vasquez, Lucci, any of those guys could go. Vasquez already had a 7 mil bid denied. Brenner's going to go for at least 20 if FCC want to sell him because they want to get their money back. Acosta could probably go for 7 right now. I guess they'd probably push for 10. All of these players are having a fantastic season, and if they repeat it this year, FCC are going to have a bag of money to play with next year. The guy I say keep an eye on, Roman Celentano, the rookie goalkeeper, had a fantastic year, and we know how much international teams love American goalkeepers. So 1 or 2 more good seasons, and he could be knocking on the door overseas.
Yeah, I have nothing different here, honestly. I had the same thing. Front three are obviously going to garner all the attention, and then I think Celentano, if he gets a little bit more consistency, I think even Barreal, if he got consistent game time, his quality, if maybe they sell one of the top 3, and then Barreal kind of, I don't know, finds his way in there, but he had a lot of minutes last year. He's only 21, 5 goals, 5 assists, so I'll definitely be keeping an eye on him. Side note, I had no idea that Matt Miazga was still only 26. I thought
Yeah,
at this
he's
point he
young.
was like 30.
No, he moved to Chelsea at 20.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, certified cheat bags.
Oh, LA Galaxy?
LA Galaxy. Go ahead. You can go first.
Okay. So I've got kind of 2 of the obvious ones in there. I have Julian Araujo. I also put Efren Alvarez. I know Alvarez is struggling a little bit in terms of consistent game time, but I think at 19, he's shown enough like raw potential that somebody could take him in and kind of like either give him the minutes that he needs or just kind of like hone the bits of his game that he needs to work on. But I feel like, his name has been mentioned consistently with this team for a couple years now. He's still really young. His output was really good in the minutes that he played. Um, I've got Jovelic on here. I know that they don't play Jovelic, but I think he is just too good to be sitting behind Chicharito, scoring 11 goals in 1,000 minutes. That's just absurd. I think considering the fact that he's 22, he should definitely be garnering interest in Europe. I don't know if it would be a move that's necessarily a step up for him, considering that he's only played 1,000 minutes, but I think the quality's there that he should make a move to Europe and try to build in there, considering Galaxy just don't want to give him minutes. And then the last one I had was Ricky Puig. I think that one might also be an obvious one. He just obviously came over from Europe. I don't think he's moving right now, but I think in the bits that he's shown I think he's going to revitalize his career here and then jump back to Europe. So kind of a one to watch for me, but I think, and an obvious one, but I think Ricky Puig will be back in Europe within a couple of years.
Yeah. So for me, it's Araujo. They just made 1 or 2 outside back signings in LA to strengthen that position. So or rather, they're rumored. They haven't made them yet, but they're rumored. If they go through, you have to think that it means they're ready to move on from Mr. Araujo, just like the USA was able to move on from him. Get messed up, snake. I don't see a ton of when you say Efren Alvarez, if he makes a move, is going directly to Liga MX and he's not going overseas. I honestly, Araujo probably in that same boat. I don't think he's done enough to go overseas. I think he goes across the border personally. We talked about Ricky Puig. You mentioned that he's not moving this year. Of course, he's not moving this year. I do think that he does if he has the same impact that he did at the end of this season to start next season, it's gonna be LA is gonna be fun to watch. First of all, and second of all, you'll have some big names asking about him in a couple years or in a couple months. And then Jovelic, if he can go in and get actual minutes, will Chicharito be able to put up at 35 years old another 2,800 minutes and 18 goals? I don't know. And if he doesn't, Jovelic is ready to go in and do what he does. So I'm excited to see that. And I think that if he goes in and takes that from less than 1,000 minutes to 1,700 minutes, and takes that from 12 goals to 17 goals, you're going to see lots of people asking for the 23-year-old for sure. Okay, let's go to the mall. Oh, the worst team in the league.
Oh, I hope you're talking about DC United or San Jose.
I'm not talking about Atlanta United, baby.
You're the worst.
Way.
You're the worst.
I've got two. I've got Luis Araujo and Marcelino Moreno. Over the last 2 seasons, these guys have been top five. In MLS, your goal is to take players of their name and their stature, buy them, and sell them on for more. Usually that doesn't happen if you have them longer than about 3 years. Moreno's going on to year 3.5, while Araujo's going on to year 3. So you can expect those guys to, if they have a good season, Atlanta being ready to capitalize on them. That being said, there was one other guy, this guy, Thiago Almeida. He just got in. He's not going anywhere, but people have definitely been asking about him. We know that Atlanta beat a lot of people out to him when they signed him. So if he can go and have another good year, I don't expect him to be here past the year. That's just me.
So I've got a pretty long list here. Not necessarily that these guys are
everybody
all
from Atlanta can go because they're all so good that they didn't even make the playoffs last year.
Of course.
Sorry.
I don't think these guys are going to be necessarily making a jump right now, but I think that they can definitely be making a jump within like a year. I got Alan Franco, Luis Araujo, Thiago Almada. I've got Caleb Wiley, and I got Miles Robinson. And then I feel like on the outside looking in, I think the chance is slim, but potentially maybe like a Brooks Lennon or an Andrew Gutman.
Interesting. Yeah.
I don't have Marcelino Moreno. I don't think Moreno makes a jump to Europe. I think he's more likely to go back to South America. That's my opinion, though.
So I also added, sorry, on a complete side note, I also added that a move from Atlanta or an MLS side to a top 3 in Brazil or Argentina is a step up. So if there are times where I'll say, okay, like the hold on, where'd he go? Arriaga from Minnesota. If he goes to South America and goes to a random, I don't know the Argentinian league well, so I can't pick a name, but goes to a team that is mid-table in Brazil, it's not a step up. But if he goes to Flamengo, it's a step up. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean. I don't know why that's different than going to like Celtic or Rangers or to Genk. Why is that different?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is, all right, I'm not going down this path.
No, but you said that would be a step up for them. So I don't understand why moving to a top team in Belgium is not a step up.
No, it is. But what I'm saying is the players that you mentioned for Seattle are not moving to that spot.
Okay. I thought you were saying that wasn't considered a step up.
No. What I'm saying is it is, but how realistic is that? It's not. Xavier Arriaga is not going to Celtic. I'm sorry. He's just not.
No, you're probably on second thought, you're probably right. He's probably more likely to move back to South America or to move to South America than to move to like some Belgian side.
Correct. Players that weren't mentioned in your list, Tyler Wolff, I think, has a lot of potential if he can get more minutes on the field. And with that Joseph guy out the door, I think you'll see a little bit more of him. I liked Aiden McFadden in short bursts. Definitely young and has a little bit of work to do, and a little bit older. So I don't know if he makes that move anytime soon, but I think he has potential to grow into something that might work.
I could tell you right now, if Aiden McFadden makes a move to Europe and we get European money for him, that's an insane coup by Atlanta. That's all I'm gonna say. I mean, I'm not the biggest Aiden McFadden fan, But I mean, considering that he only played minutes last season because we were the most injured team in like the history of MLS, I don't have high hopes. But I also didn't include Tyler Wolf, considering that he's kind of already in Europe
Yeah,
because he's
that's
at
fair.
Belgium. He's at that
Yep.
team
Yeah,
that for
he's on
some
loan.
reason he's what is with that one team that I noticed a couple young American guys went to. It's like Wasland
Yeah,
Beverin.
yeah. They took a couple of guys there.
They took Tyler
Um,
Wolf and Moses Nyman.
People are starting to realize the importance of American academies.
Yeah, well, they took
Um,
him, and I don't think they played him at all. Tyler Wolf
I
got 41 minutes. Moses Nyman played 0 from the looks of it.
know. That's all right. They'll get there soon. Um, oh, this team's got the best striker in the league.
Ooh, best striker in the league. It sounds like Vancouver.
You're dang right it is. So here's the only thing I have for Vancouver because they weren't great. You got Daber Caicedo, who might, turn into a South. I don't think he's
He's not ready
a
to go right now.
European. Yeah, he's not ready to go right now. I don't think Ryan Gauld really is either. I mean, Ryan Gauld could go back to Scotland from the team that he came from and be okay. Um, Julian Gressel, maybe. But at the end of the day, if Brian White doesn't get a $12 billion move to Madrid by tomorrow, there's no point in watching football anymore. It's rigged. The system is against us. Um, I can't say Thomas Asal. He wasn't super impressive this season. Um, and the only person that they really have in this setup that I think had any sort of potential to be a big money flip signing has been sent out on loan for the third time in 3 years. So let's talk about swing and a miss.
You talking about Chow Alexander?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, that's a massive swing and a miss. Yeah, I mean there's really nobody in this team that's like busting down the door on a move to Europe right now to advance their career. I think Hassall had a chance, but he just wasn't good enough last year. We'll see what he can do this year. And maybe Javane Brown, if he got consistent enough. I mean, not that he didn't get consistent minutes. He had almost 2,000 minutes, but if he's young, still only 22, could maybe, yeah, if he has a strong year, could definitely garner some interest. I personally think Ryan Gauld could make a move to Europe right now. I don't know if it would necessarily be a step up situation for him where he'd move into like a team where he's now going to be like in a better position than where he is with Vancouver. But I think he could move to Europe. And Veselinovic is another one I'll keep an eye on. 22 years old, played almost 2,800 minutes for them last year. So I don't think they have anybody right now, but a couple of guys to keep an eye on. I also agree with you that I think Gressel could easily start for a championship team right now.
Depending on the system, I think he's a guy who needs a system to be successful.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If they play him as a pure right back, I don't think he's as successful as they play him as a wing back in a three.
Yeah,
So
I hear you
just
on that.
things to keep in mind there. Let's go on quickly to I don't really know how to describe this team. They exist in the Western Conference.
RSL?
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, it's RSL.
They exist in the Western Conference. Yes, they do.
They do. How would you describe them, really, after the season that they had?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I don't know how to describe them either.
I'll let you go first.
Okay. So I got a couple guys that I think maybe could make a move. I think Pablo Ruiz could make a move to Europe. I don't know if he would do it right now. I don't think he would do it right now, but I think we saw enough quality in the first year that he could definitely garner interest with another strong year. Justin Glad, I also think, is good enough to be playing at, in my opinion, I think he could play at a maybe a higher level championship team. He's been starting like consistently for ages now. I mean, I'm gonna look at his stats really quick because I'm curious to know how many games he's played. He has played 192 games by the age of 24. I mean, he is extremely experienced while still being young. I don't know. He can definitely not move to like a team that's going to be a big boost for him. He's not like a Thiago Almada that's going to jumpstart his career going to Europe. But I think he has the quality that he can get the job done on a European team. And then a couple, I guess, for the future, Diego Luna, if he can get some more game time, I think lots of people know his name already. One to keep an eye on. And Orozco as well. I think 17 years old, played 300 minutes for them last year. Again, same situation as Luna. If he gets the game time, I would say definitely keep an eye on him making a jump.
What kills me about Justin Glad is, yes, he's got all this experience, but he has nothing to show for it. And that's not on him. It's on the team that was put around him. But he was thrown into a situation where he was a promising teenager, and he filled in well, but he was surrounded by bad players. Now he's 25. He's got one USL championship, which good for him, right? If Justin Glad wants to make a move, RSL have to win something. Supporter Shield, MLS Cup, US Open Cup, don't care. They have to win something, and he needs to be the reason why.
Well,
they need to go win.
He's never moving then.
Well, that's what I mean. Yes, he's got potential and he's got all this experience, but nobody's going to take a guy from Salt Lake who played since he was 17, 6 years, whatever, just because he's played for 6 years. He needs to be the best player on the team that won something for somebody to take a look at him. I don't think that he's ready to make that move. I think if he were to make that move, and again, he's got time, he's young, but if he were to make that move, he goes to a low-level Belgian championship, side, and I don't think that he even starts. Good player, but not there. For players who I said keep an eye on, Diego Luna was on my list. Jasper Loffelsend as well, the draft pick from last season, who came in a situation where he needed to start, came in and did very, very well, and is looking for a second good season. So could he be the next draft pick to make that move overseas? You've already seen Daryl Dike, Tejan Buchanan do it. Can he be the next one?
Probably not.
I
would equate him more to Gressel than I would to DK and Tejan Buchanan. Considering
I'm not saying they're the same player. I'm saying that he's trying to follow their path from MLS draft to.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody that's in the draft is trying to follow that path, but I think it's more realistic that he will probably follow a Gressel path, considering that he's 25 already and only has 1 year under his belt.
We shall see. The worst conference champion in the history of MLS.
Oh, Colorado Rapids. That's an easy
Colorado one. Rapids. So for Colorado, I've got, again, another relatively old team. I'm not expecting a ton of young overseas sales. I've got Max, the Brazilian signing they made last year, still trying to get his feet wet. We always give those new signings 1 year. And Ralph Priso. I think both those guys have a really high ceiling and ability to make an impact. So if Colorado gets the right players around them and puts them in positions to succeed, I think they'll show out and they'll be impressive and turn some heads. I will say I'm surprised that a team from Liga MX or South America hasn't come calling for Diego Rubio yet, but Eurosnobism is what it is, even though they're not European. Anti-MLSism.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely got to see better from Max in the second season. First season was definitely not nearly good enough. With 1 assist in 900 minutes, but has the potential. He's only 20. They brought him in to kind of, I would say, do that typical MLS project at this point of build him up, sell him on. In terms of young guys, I think probably need a bit more minutes before making a jump to Europe. I've also got Ralph Priso, and I've got Darren Yapi as well.
Oh, okay. I like that.
That's what I got.
Nice. I like it. Um, this team just lost its three best players.
Is it my scarf?
It is your scarf. Talk to me about them.
So Montreal's a tough one because they just lost all the players that you would normally say, yeah, they should be moving to Europe.
It's a good
Kone's
sign.
gone, Johnston's gone, Georgie's gone. At the moment, I don't know if I see anybody else besides those three who already got their move. Yeah, I
The
mean, I
only
don't think I
person
have
that
anybody.
the only person I've got in this list is Kamal Miller. I think after his season in MLS, and yes, Canada had a bad World Cup, but his appearances in the World Cup, teams were inquiring. I was reading the article that was posted on MLS, and I believe they were talking more about, um, yeah, this one was not a, this one is it might happen. European teams are interested, but nothing is imminent. I'd say 50-50 he leaves. And the writer of this was Tommy Scoops. So Tommy Scoops says it's 50-50 he's out. I'm leaning towards 50 he stays simply because they have no more players. That being said, this time next year, if he can keep that Montreal defense intact, move this team back into the playoffs after losing their coach, their three best players, four best players, really, if you take Wanyama out of it too. Um, I would say that he would make a move next year more than this year.
There's no way Kamal Miller makes a move that is a step up for his career. I just don't believe it.
Is that because you're anti-Canadian? It's okay if you are, but I just need you.
I am not anti-Canadian, but where do you see him making a move that could potentially be beneficial for his career?
Don't
Like
know.
with like realistically, I don't think I can. I mean, Kamal Miller's a good defender, but he's not anything special in the league where I think
So
he gets
here's
like
the
a
thing, right?
Miazga move.
It's a different move for a Canadian than an American, right? If he moves from MLS to mid-level Belgium or mid-level Scotland, he's the Canadian national team is better. You know what I mean? Like Walker Zimmerman or Jordan Morris moving to a mid-level Belgium side does not put him above Gio Reyna, Christian Pulisic, Brendan Emerson. However, Kamal Miller moving to that is a step up for the Canadian team because it's not like he's trying to keep himself at a top level. Where that move, he'll be playing against the teams that the Canadians need to be. Because I got to think of how to word this properly, right? But
You're just trying to word it to disagree with me. Is all you're trying to do.
no. Because listen, right? The Canada topped the group this year, right? They topped the Hex. The U.S. won't let it happen again because we're going to have a coach who's not going to let that happen again, right? Mexico won't be in the mix, right? That leaves Costa Rica, who I don't think will be in the mix. So they're going to be in a spot where they'll be okay. So they need to have players that are challenging themselves past where they already are. Right?
But
You look confused.
We've talked about this before. Mid-level Scotland is not as good as MLS. Or is on par at least with MLS.
Okay. So my
So he's
point
not
being
playing
is
better
so
competition.
so let me clarify this. Are we talking better for his career as a whole or his international career? Because I think our conversation before was the international level.
Well, because
Are we
that's
still
what you
talking
brought up.
international?
It seemed like you were saying that people were only making moves for the sake of their international career. But
Which
I think
most
that's only a
people
part
are.
of the reason.
The other
I
move,
don't I agree with you on that. I think it would be a better move from a Canadian national team perspective for Kamal Miller to move to Europe, even if it was mid-table Scotland. But I don't think that mid-table Scotland is going to be a better situation for him than staying and playing in MLS, because mid-table Scotland is just as good as MLS, maybe even like a little bit worse. I don't know.
Well, let's look at the way that Alphonso Davies influenced the world view of Canadians, right? Nobody touched a Canadian with a 10-foot pole in Europe outside of Atiba Hutchinson in Turkey. Then Alphonso Davies came on. Everyone's like, "Oh wow, these guys can play."
Well, they had Junior Hoylett too.
Over there. Okay, Junior Hoylett.
And Borjan.
Sorry, 2 players. Borjan playing at Red Star Belgrade in Serbia. That's really Europe. The one you want to go with? That's really the one you want to go with on impacting the world view of Canadian football is a 37-year-old goalkeeper in Serbia.
Listen, he also played in Bulgaria.
Oh my God. Stop it. Anyways, right. The more players. So think back to 2014 America. The more players that we had in Europe, the better people thought of us. And now we are where we are. If Kamal Miller stays at Montreal, Canada is just an MLS team with a few, they are 2014 United States. They will mess up again. But if they start sending more people over, the view gets better. People put more money into the game there, and it grows into what we are now. It's a different scenario. And that's the hill I'm dying.
So you're being a Canadian Euro snob is all I'm hearing.
Just for you,
yes, it's not like his level is going to necessarily get better by moving to like Hibs, but the view of the Canadian national team will get better.
Correct, and that improves everything in the Canadian national team.
So you're being a Euro snob. That's all I'm hearing.
If you can look at the entire your career and say that my career influenced what this was. Me and Alphonso Davies went and took the Canadian national team to a whole new level. Yeah, I'd say it's an important move for his career. Whether he gets him better or not. Because
Kamal Miller moving to Hibs is going to change the course of the Canadian national team. Yeah.
Listen, if you're going to pick Milan Borjan as the other half of the Alphonso Davies improvement ladder, then yeah, I'm going to go with Kamal Miller and be right.
I'm not saying Borjan is changed the way that people looked at Canadians. I think you're spot on that it's Jonathan David and it's Alphonso Davies. They're the two that changed the way people looked at Canadian players, without question. It's the same way. It's the same way Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie and Serginho Dest and Gio Reyna changed the way people looked at Americans.
Right.
Same way.
Canada 2022 is USA 2014. They need to start sending people over so that they can grow their image. And then they can have the arguments we're having right now about saying, well, the players that we have in MLS are just as good and blah, 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 and go from there.
Yeah, but this is essentially Mark McKenzie 2.0. Mark McKenzie didn't change the landscape of American players.
No, but he encouraged more teams to look for them.
Did he?
Maybe. I don't know. Call me in 5 years and let's analyze it in 5 years. I don't know.
Let's move on. We've been waffling way too much.
God, this is gonna be a 4-hour episode. We interviewed their mascot.
Oh, Portland.
Very good. Go ahead.
So for Portland, I've got just 2 names on my list. I've got Santiago Moreno and Claudio Bravo. I think both of them have the quality and the minutes to make a jump right now. Not necessarily that they will. One to watch for the future if he gets more consistent game time. David Ayala. I think that's an easy one. Yeah, and that's all I got.
Yep, that is pretty much exactly what I got. I only picked one for each team because I didn't want to make this a 4-hour episode. But you started saying dumb stuff, so we have to. I've got Santi Moreno as well. Then you've got Eric Williamson, who's one injury away from being on the national team conversation. So if he can get back healthy, I'd be curious to see what him at his best would look like in the international window. And then I had David Ayala being the next Diego Chara for this team as one to watch.
I don't see Williamson making a move. That's
not anymore. Not anymore. I don't disagree with you there. I'm just saying I won. He's going to be one of those what if guys.
I feel like even if he didn't get hurt, he's not breaking into that trio, and at best he's probably behind Luca Della Torre, maybe ahead of Kellen Acosta. I feel like
Here's my thing.
that's just my opinion.
Here's my thing. Are you taking him? Are you taking Christian Roldan? At
I'd
full
probably take
again,
I'd probably take Eric Williamson, but I'd rather not take either, to be honest.
I agree with you, but if we're gonna pick between one of the two, we'll never know what Williamson could have been or where he might be, right? But I'm saying if at both of them at full strength, I think Williamson had a better upside. That's just um oh yeah, this team wasn't very good.
Toronto.
No, good call though. Houston.
Oh.
Definitely not selling. There's rumors that they're bringing in some friends from Sebastian Ferreira's old club to pick up the level, which would be cool to see. Obviously, my two big ones, Hector Herrera making that big move, and Darwin Quintero both going over with Steve Clark as a trio. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I got Carrasquilla and I've got Ferreira, of course, as the two who will be ones to keep an eye on. None of them had seasons last year that were like, oh my God, we need to get them out and capitalize right now because Houston wasn't very good. But if they get the players that they're rumored to get in and around these guys, I think this could be a fun team to watch next year. Am I predicting them to be fourth? No,
I hope not.
not like the last time I did. That's right. I'll find one crazy one to pick, but it probably won't be them. But one to watch, I think, Thor Ulfarsson, the Duke product that was drafted last year, 4 goals in about 1,200 minutes last year off the bench, in a bench role. If he gets a little bit more involved, especially with Quintero, and I believe Pico didn't come back either. They're looking for a striker. He might be the guy. Might be one to watch for sure. But double the minutes, double your goal involvements, and you might get some conversations.
Yeah, only one I had on my list was Sebastian Ferreira. I think 13 goals in this team last year was definitely highly impressive, and I think get him some help, he's going to be one of the better strikers in this league.
Yep. Moving on, double doers.
Double doers. LAFC.
There you go. Go first.
I've got a few names on my list for LAFC. So I don't think Kerpo will do it right now with an injury. Um, I think with that injury, that may have killed off any chance at a European move. So I feel like it might be a while before he comes back and then kind of getting into things. So I put Kellen Acosta on here.
Right
I
back
feel
or
like
left
I'm
back?
gonna stick by that. I'm gonna stick by it. I think he's been due for a European move for a while. Um, I don't think it's gonna be one that escalates his career too much, but I feel like he definitely could. I think he's a smart player. I think he's good to have like on the team to just kind of like cause a little bit of havoc, CONCACAF it up. I've got Aranjo. I don't know if he would make a move necessarily to Europe right now, but I could definitely see him, to your point before, making a move to a top South American team because he just consistently has scored goals since he's been here. I think Diego Palacios could make a move. I think he's been strong. He's still very young. Same thing with Jose Cifuentes. Both of them, I think, could make a move either to a top South American side or to Europe, and continue to build their game, continue to try to make their place in the Ecuadorian team. I think one to watch is Opoku. I think he had a surprisingly big impact in the team last year, considering all the talent and big names that they brought in. He consistently got good game time for them at only 20. I think he's got definitely good potential. Same thing with Mamadou Fall. Good potential from him. 19 years old, got good game time. Um, and that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I don't know why every year Chicharrango is rumored away as like a guy who's leaving. Dude doesn't stop scoring ever. I don't know why this hasn't been like the guy. Kellen Acosta's never going to Europe. Kellen Acosta's Europe calling was 3 years ago when he was with Colorado. They screwed him over, and it's been done ever since. It sucks. He deserves to be over there, but I don't think he's going anytime soon. Especially because he's not getting into the national team, right? He's second tier on our national team, which is where most people are doing. Their like I mean, we just saw the rules for um, the England, right? England saying you have to be a starter on a top 50 team if you want to get a work permit. Um, that being said, I said, yeah, Mamadou Fall is in that list. And then I also had Cifuentes and Palacios for their World Cup cameo. I think they'll be listening. Moving on. Oh, new head coach.
DC.
Nope. Columbus. Um, Obviously Zelleran's the best player on the team. He can go whenever he wants. At 30 years old, do I think a European team is going to come screaming calling for him? No.
Nah.
So that leaves this guy Cucho Hernandez. If he comes in and starts the season off the same way he started the season when he came in here, he's gone in 12 months. Period. Aiden Morris as one to watch. If he has a really good year, he could be the next youth American on his way over. He had a really good show. Not a really good showing, but he wasn't in a very good team. So you put him in a team that's a little bit improved. I think you'll see a lot better out of him. That's really the only guy that I have. Maybe Russell Rowe, but I don't know much about him, so I won't predict anything. But yeah, those are the guys I got.
Maybe this will end up being considered a hot take. So I've also got Aiden Morris, and I've got Cucho. I think Cucho could definitely. I think Cucho will make a jump back to Europe pretty quickly. I didn't put Zeller on mainly for the second part that you were mentioning, and the fact that he's 30 years old and probably not sought after by European teams. I could maybe see him making a move to like a good South American team though. Uh One player that I do like and I think could maybe get a move, Steven Moreira. I think he's been one of the better fullbacks in this league so far. I like what he's brought to the table. Not sure if he would move right now, but I definitely think he could. I think he can move to a French team, honestly. Not a great one, but I think he could move to a French team and probably get some game time.
Interesting. Shall I move on?
Yeah.
Best team in the world.
Philadelphia Union.
I hate you. You're out. Kick from the pod. I'm going to start this one.
I should have said NYCFC. That was a missed opportunity.
It was. It really was. And then you would have. I would have ended the call. So it's a good thing you did.
Yeah, I kind of wish you did end the call.
How are NYC going to be the best team in the league when they don't have 11 players to play? Stop it. John Tolkien's good as gone. Red Bull Global loves his game. They want to see him at Salzburg ASAP. He'll be there. Blink your eyes, so he's probably there. Cáceres and Morgan are both getting looks from overseas. Cáceres has been for a while now. We just haven't found the right fit for him yet. I mean, he's a consistent starter on the Venezuelan team. Lewis Morgan absolutely lit it up last year. I mean, listen, the pipeline keeps growing. These players are going to be replaced, though they will both be gone at some point soon. I think Cáceres goes with Tolkien, not to Salzburg, but kind of roughly at the same time. I think Morgan stays the year, and if he has a good year, goes at the end of next year. But I mean, you've got Serge Ngoma, Dan Edelman, Wiki Carmona. All these guys will slide in and take those spaces and be successful. We just signed Curtis Afori to back up John Tolkien. All these guys, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. I mean, they'll be in the system for a long time. Red Bull, same deal as Seattle, same deal as Dallas, same deal as Philly. Anybody who they bring out of their academy, you can expect to make a move at some point.
Yeah, I think the only name I had on there that you didn't have, and I guess it's not necessarily that he'll move right now, but I think Carlos Cornell can move to Europe. He's been good. I think he could definitely make a jump.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him as he came from where'd he come from? Goodness me.
I thought he came from Brazil Red Bull.
Yeah, yeah, he came. That's right, the Brazilian Red. Um, so could he move to Salzburg? I thought he was in Salzburg at some. Let me double check that. Yeah, he came from Salzburg.
Oh, he came from Salzburg. Oh
Yeah, he
yeah, he
didn't come
did
from
come from
Brazil.
Salzburg.
So could he go back there? Sure. Will he? I doubt it. I don't think he's in the Leipzig system. I mean, could he go play in again, we keep using Belgium and Scotland, right? Could he go play in Russia? Sure. Let's go put him in Russia.
Gonna send
I
him
don't
off
know.
to
I'm trying
Russia.
to just send him off short. No,
Let's send
does
him
he
to
have the ability?
Portugal.
Sure.
He's Brazilian. Speaks the language
There you
already.
go. Let's send him to Portugal. Yeah. I think, does he have the ability? Sure. Will we let him go? I doubt it.
No, probably not. Not unless you have someone like really ready in the pipeline.
Which I thought when we every year we're like, oh, we got another one. Is we really, really good? And they never show up. Um, moving on. So much better than Atlanta.
FC Dallas.
Orlando City.
Oh, you're the worst.
Go ahead, you can go first.
Uh, yeah. So I only have two on here, kind of the obvious ones. I went Facundo Torres and Cesar Araujo. I don't think Orlando lets them leave right now, but I would be very surprised if neither of them have European interest right now.
The obvious ones were Rodrigo Schlegel and Alexander Pato, but okay.
I love. We can't let Schlegel go. What if there's another penalty shootout?
I'd say he's an MLS icon. He's stuck here forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've got Facundo Torres as well. 17 goal contributions last season. Only 22 years old. Went to the World Cup. Things that are making him seen, across the world. My one to watch is Michael Halliday with Rouen gone now. I think he is in a position to slide into that spot because I believe John Matinho's gone as well, if I remember correctly.
That sounds right. I don't know why. Yeah, he's it. Oh no, I think he's still
Yeah,
there.
he's going to Spezia. He's going to Spezia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's your overseas sale.
That's surprising. I don't know if
Yeah,
I definitely wouldn't have touted him as good enough for a European move.
no, but he's going to go. I mean, he's going to play with a bunch of bums like this Ethan Ampadu guy. He plays for a Wales team that couldn't get a goal in normal play in the World Cup, and he plays for Chelsea. If no, like I said, I definitely didn't pick him for that, but yeah, with those two gone, you're going to look at Michael Halliday at 19 years old to kind of slide in and take that one of those right back spots, or he'll probably play left back with Atlanta legend Jake Mulroney playing right back.
Oh yeah, hook it to my veins. I would love to see that.
So I mean, he's one to watch, and if he has a good showing, we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Um, Awful team with a lot of potential.
Ooh. DC?
Sporting KC.
Mm.
I'm surprised Shallowy hasn't seen more action. He had a very, very good year not this past year, 2 years ago, and then a pretty good year last year. So I thought you would have heard more about him, especially being Hungarian, having that passport, and playing, and getting calls into the national team. Thought he would have talked to it more. One to watch for 12 months from now is William Agata. Came in, lit the team on fire, 10 goals in less than 1,000 minutes, or 10 goal contributions, excuse me. He continues that pace. Yeah, he's gone by this time next year.
So I also had William Agata. Same reason. I think if he even like remotely is at the same level that he was at, he'll be gone. Because he was torching it. I also have Remy Walter on there. I think Remy Walter could get a move. I think he's come here. He's revitalized his career. I think he could definitely move to a French side again. Uh, he was the most played player on their team last year, and based on the ratings, seemed like he was okay. So I can't see why he couldn't get a move. I didn't put Shallowy on there. I figured Shallowy needed like another year to kind of try to recreate what he did 2 years ago. I think last year was a downgrade, uh, 10 goal contributions in 2,500 minutes. I think that he can do better than that. I think if he does have a strong season again, then I agree with you. I think he would garner interest from overseas. And then the only other person, a one to watch for the future, I've got where did his name go? Caden Pierre, 18
Oh
year old
yeah,
who played almost a
outside back.
thousand minutes for them last season. Yeah.
Yeah, he put outside back. Um, Remy Walter, and again, this goes back to the conversation we've had before. There is not a team in Europe that is going to touch anybody on it. Again, with the way that MLS is viewed, they're not going to touch anybody from a team that finished bottom three in the entire league just because he played a lot. If he wants to be looked at for a move overseas, he has to go and help Kansas City at least be decent.
Which I think they could definitely do this season, considering their
I
form at the end
agree.
of last year.
I agree. I think with Polito coming back, with Gadi Kinda coming back, with all the players that they brought in last, the middle transfer of last season, I think they've got tons of potential. But I would not put him on a he definitely can do it until he does it. But that's just me. Oh, this team is really bad.
NYC.
No, Toronto. Tried to set you up there. Remember how you guessed them last time? I
Yeah,
said
but I
that.
thought you were just trying to take a jab at NYC.
No, I'll do that later. You know how I'm going to do that. Talk to me about TFC.
So for TFC, I've got two guys that I guess are for like the future. Uh Jaden Nelson
Mm-hmm.
and Marshall Ruddy. I think
Yep.
those two are on their way to Europe probably soon. And then I've got I obviously this isn't going to happen considering he just moved here, but I think Federico Bernardeschi could easily go back to Europe after this season. I mean, he came in, and I know Insigne obviously got the spotlight and was the bigger name coming in, but I think Bernardeschi was the better player. Um, Arguably, they were both very good, but I think people are going to sleep on Bernardeschi because of Insigne, but I think he's going to ball out here. And he's only 27, so or I guess 28 at this point. So if he comes in, balls out for another season, I can't see why he couldn't move to like Roma or something next year.
Out of your mind. He's not going back to Roma. He left Juve after not playing for a couple years. Roma's not going to take somebody who comes to MLS just because he had a
Okay,
good year with
maybe not
TFC.
Roma, but he could definitely
Yeah,
move back to Italy.
like I said, he
He's
can go
too
to
good for
a
this
newly
league.
promoted. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but Roma's a stretch. He can go to one of those like Spezia, Venezia types of newly promoted. Let's take a few players and
I don't know. I think he's a little bit better than that. Maybe like a Torino, Sampdoria.
okay, fine. I'll give you that. I didn't put anybody on a ready for a move right now list. The only person I would even consider that for is Jesus Jimenez because I really like the way he plays. His movement's very, very good. Um, I put Jaden Nelson and Marshall Ruddy down there as well. Same thing as you mentioned. They've got their youth system ready to go, and they can definitely make an impact very, very soon. Jaden Nelson already has a starting spot as the center mid, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do to work him into success.
Go team.
Oh, we talked about this team.
Uh
Come on, your memory's not that bad.
DC.
San Jose.
We briefly talked about them.
Yeah. Again, we mentioned it. I'm not sure where this Benji Kikanovic news is coming from, but it's hitting me blindside. So
Same.
for some reason, Matthias Almeida really wants him. He was their third leading goal scorer. Why I don't know that, probably because I never watched them
Probably
play.
because he only had 6 goals. It's San Jose.
Yeah. Um, Another person to watch would be King Jabo. Career year at age 25. Do that again, and yeah, you're calling for him. And then there's also the never-ending Kate Cowell rumors. Yeah, we love those. I'm sure we'll hear that about how Barcelona is going to spend $100 million on him. But they still got money, right? They could sell off some more Spotify rights for Kate Cowell.
Yeah, they probably could.
Barcelona.
So yeah, obviously have Kate Cowell on my list. I put Benji because that's just a fact at this point, not because I necessarily thought that was going to happen. I also put Christian Espinosa. I think he's good enough to make a move to Europe. He's consistently been good in MLS too. And he's still pretty young. He's only 26. So I think he can make a move. And then one for the future, I put Nico Sakiris, 16-year-old who played almost 400 minutes for them last season. Definitely not jumping, or probably not jumping right now, but I mean, he's at 16, he's already getting 10 appearances in a season. I definitely think there's high potential for him to get good game time in this team at a very young age. I think that'll definitely attract interest from Europe.
I agree. Before we move on, your Mets update: Keith Hernandez remains unsigned in the New York Mets broadcast booth, so we may not be watching the Mets anytime soon.
It's probably good news for your dad, though, or for dad.
New boys.
St. Louis?
Charlotte. St. Louis don't have players. They have like 3 kids.
That's why I was surprised, but you said new boys. Right now, that's St. Louis.
Oh my goodness. You are crazy. Another team I'm not expecting a ton of movement from, the likes of Swiderski or Corujo, could be names to watch over the next 12 months. Swiderski was in the national team with the World Cup, made a start against Leo Misai. I always forget how to pronounce that dude's name. But again, he was the best player on the team last year for Charlotte. But it's also good news that he was involved in the World Cup and starting, because it used to be if you showed up to MLS, your international career was done, and that's not the case anymore. It's quite clear that we're sending tons of people to the World Cup and their national teams, and so it's a good image. And then I say for Corujo, I don't see him being a European South American, but going back to a River Plate or a racing club, much like Gonzalez Perez, right? Same kind of vibe he gives me. So I can see that happening.
Yeah. The only one I would add, give me one more good season from Ben Bender, and I think
Ben Bender, yep. I don't disagree with you there. Yep. All right. Tell me about our friends. Oh, we have a couple friends in Texas that are left. I'll let you pick.
Dallas.
There you go. Talk to us about our friends in Dallas.
Dallas is always a good one. Dallas loves sending people off to Europe. There's probably some
Dallas doesn't have any players. How are they going to do that?
There's probably some no-name 15-year-old that's already like on Bayern's books. So for Dallas, I think Jesus Ferreira can make a move to Europe. I think Paul Arriola could probably jump back into.
I needed that in my life. Please tell me more about how Paul Arriola and Jordan Morris are going to team up at Hibernian in Scotland and going to be world beaters.
I was thinking the championship, which I agree with you. I don't think that's a move that's going to boost his career. I don't think it's the same situation as JMO. I don't think it's a move that is going to make him more viable for the national team, but I think he could do it. I think the quality's there. He had the shot and then he got hurt, which I think was kind of unfair. He had a really strong season for Dallas. I can't see why he couldn't take that shot again in Europe. I mean, he's only 27. Why not?
If Paul Arriola plays on Swansea now and never got hurt and the loan became permanent, do you think people are bitching that we said that he should be in the national team?
No shot. Or much less.
Yeah, there's probably still one guy out there saying we should have brought Jordan Morris.
Yeah, probably the guy that thinks that anybody who's ever stepped foot in anything MLS related should immediately be burned at the stake.
Well, Gio Reyna's out then. Came from New York City.
Shh, they don't know that. Uh,
Um,
yeah.
that
So I have Ariola, Ferreira, and then the obvious one, Alan Velasco. Um, no shot Dallas is letting him walk right now, but he's on his way to Europe in the future, 100%.
yeah, it's Sebastian Lletget, um,
Of course, a staple.
Franco Hara, Jimmy Maurer, all those guys on their way. No, yeah, I had the same ones: Ferreira, Velasco, Ferreira. I want to put an asterisk next to that. He can't just go and make a move. He needs to fit into a very, very specific system. Because if he just goes and makes a move to a random team that has no use for him, he's going to look like Pepe at Augsburg or Josh Sargent on the wing at Norwich. So he needs to be very careful with whatever move he makes because he's a very specific player. But if Velasco has one more season like he did last year, yeah, that dude's going to secure the bag.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Oh, yeah, we don't like these guys.
We
Yeah, nobody likes them.
New England.
No, Philly, you're close.
I like Philly.
No, you don't.
They do a lot of good stuff for this league.
They do not. All they do is knock Red Bull out of the U.S. Open Cup and then follow suit and knock us out of the first round of the playoffs every year.
So I'll start
Um,
this one off.
okay, go ahead.
I feel like this
Did my
conversation.
rant distract you?
I feel like this conversation would almost be better with like who isn't ready to make a jump to Europe right now. Because
Literally.
I feel like you could take so many of these guys and they could do a job in Europe because this team has just been like so consistently good for so long. I would say based on last season, Gazdag could make a move, Kai Wagner, Leon Flock, Jack Elliott. I feel like one more good season from Julian Carranza, he can make a move. Maybe even Gleesnes. I think even maybe Gleesnes could. Then you got the young guys, Jack McGlynn. I'm sure he's teeing up a move soon. Quinn Sullivan. Who else? You never know who else is coming through the pipeline. Brandon Craig could be the next one.
Brendan Craig's gonna follow the Tom Barlow, Brian White train.
Because he's got the generic
Auto-generated
name.
name. Yeah. Um, for Philly, yeah, I said Kai Wagner, who has made no secret of his desire to go abroad. Daniel Gazdag in the Hungarian national team getting minutes, MVP candidate last season. Andre Blake, again, if he was American, he'd be in England right now. Um, and then every used player they've ever called up ever.
No, you don't think Jack Elliott can jump right now? I feel like with the English nationality, he could easily move to like a top championship team and like
No, here's
rival
the
for the
thing. I
crown.
want him and Gleesnes as a package gone. They torment me year after year after year. I want them so far away from this league, I can't even begin to describe it. Do I think that Jack Elliott, the fourth round super draft pick at aged
27.
27, yeah, he could. I think he's slow for that game. Um, Again, it's a lot of long ball tracking runners. I think it might be a little bit fast for him, but I don't think I don't think like I don't know if he'd go to a top championship, but would he fit well at a Stoke and then try and work his way up? Maybe. Now that being said, do I think he's going to go? No shot. Gleesney, same thing. 28. Have you seen that man run? He's not fit. So I have no
Gleesnes.
idea, bro. I have no idea how he's that good. Like if you looked at him, you think he's a Sunday league player, and he's one of the best center backs in the league. Just reads the game really well, but I don't think he can make a move either. Carranza too early. Leon Flock, I think he had a good year last year. Another one that we need to get involved in the national team.
Yeah, Leon Flock's been good for a while though. At this point, he's
Yeah,
had back
he
to
came
back.
from the German.
Yeah, he came from St. Pauli.
Yeah, he came from the German system, so he knows the game, so he can make that move no problem. I
Yeah,
said
I think so.
mid table Bundesliga could call him at any time and he'd be okay.
I think so too.
These guys love Tom Brady more than they love anything else.
Robert Kraft, FC.
Robert Kraft FC. Lots of youth players in this system can make moves, as well as a couple established guys. Brandon By, Henry Kessler, DeJuan Jones, those guys in the back line, I think, definitely would hold their own if they were to make a move championship level. I don't think any of them are top level yet, but you have players, if they have a good 2023, also could make the move. You got Petrovic in goal, who was great in filling Turner's shoes. Borrero, who just came over, had an okay year, still adjusting, but I think he's going to be one of those guys who came in halfway through, got his feet wet, and then in 2023 he's going to blow up. And Noel Buck at 17 years old has been getting minutes. So if he can put himself in the mix of things, I think you'll see something special out of him.
Yep, that's what I had too. Honestly, this also might. I think Carlos Heel could make a move to Europe too. I don't think he will, but I could 100% see a mid-table like Spanish team knocking on the door, and he just takes it. I don't know. Maybe they pay him more.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think, like I said, the Spanish teams are, it's a different game, and he reads the game so well. I think he'd be good there.
I think so too.
Our friends in Texas, but the other friends in Texas.
Austin.
Austina. Yep. Go ahead.
I didn't have much for Austin, surprisingly, considering that they were so good last year. I've got Driussi. I think that's an easy one. He was phenomenal for them last year, borderline MVP, and he's only 25, and he's played in Europe before, so he has a little experience. 100%, I think we'll be making a move back, especially if he puts in another good year. And then, I don't know, maybe Daniel Pereira. I feel like I just feel like I need another player in here. Maybe Owen Wolf for the future. This team was just so good last year. But I don't see anybody else that's jumping out to me as like a on the verge of a move to Europe.
I've got Driussi too. But you're right. Nobody really jumps out at me. Like Regioni came in late, so you might see him at the end of the year up there. Diego Fagundes, just 27 years old, been playing for a billion years.
Yeah, Fagundes. If Fagundes was going to jump, he would have done it when he was in New England.
Yeah, and I do think that if he has a year like that, there might be a Montevideo in Uruguay. Is it a step up? Probably not. I mean, if he gets playing Copa Libertadores, maybe, but they might come looking for him. Ones to watch: Danny Pereira, excuse me, the center midfielder, had a good 2,300 minutes last year at 22 years old. He could be something really, really good for the future. And then was there one more? Oh yeah, Kip Keller. Keep an eye on Kip Keller. If he can get some time, he might be. He was a number one pick last year, so he might turn into something.
Nice.
Cool. Two more to go. Take me out to the ball.
Oh, so that's what you were gonna do for it.
Yeah, DC United.
Well, now I'm confused.
No, we're doing NYC. I believe they have forgotten what age group they're playing and how many players they're allowed to roster, because I think that they're allowed less than they think that they're allowed less than what they actually are.
Well, no, let's not tell them.
I was gonna let you go first.
Oh, okay. So Tyus Magno's an easy one. He will in my opinion, 100% be off to Europe probably by the end of next year. I'm sure Man City will buy him if they haven't already behind the scenes. And then he will be loaned out to many different teams in Europe. I think Santi Rodriguez could move to Europe. I don't know that NYC will do it at this point, considering that they've just slashed their entire team at the moment. I don't think they'll let these guys go to Europe. but I think Santi Rodriguez is most likely going to move to Europe, and if not, we'll be moving to a very strong South American team.
I'm,
Uh,
I'm gonna I'm, I'm gonna pause you right there. So
yeah.
Santi Rodriguez ain't coming back.
Oh, was he alone?
He was on loan.
Okay,
So he's going to South America.
gotcha. Okay,
So just take a look. I'm on Who Scored right now. Castellanos gone. Santi Rodriguez gone. Max Morales gone. Alexander Cayens at the moment gone. Nicholas Acevedo gone.
Sean
Sean
Johnson,
Johnson at the moment gone.
Tinnerholm,
Eber gone. Justin Hack at the moment gone. Anton Tinnerholm gone. Vuk Latinovic gone. Gideon Zalom gone. So they've cut half their team right now. They've got Matthias Pellegrini on an extension, and they've got one player coming in who's a winger, I believe. So right now, I see everybody staying. They're not selling anybody anymore. But I think Gabby Pereira, unless Man City go and say, "Hey, we're gonna just thank you," and Tyus Magno are the next two out. Um, even if people don't come asking, they're going to force their way out when they're going to be forced to play with freaking Andres Yassin as their right winger. They're going to say I'm out. I don't see a ton of youth players in their system right now. Like that could jump out and play right now. Kevin O'Toole last year had a good season at 500 minutes late in the year. Chris Gloucester could turn into something. You also have Thiago Andrade there, who could make up a little bit of the attacking work. But this team's got a lot of work to do. We'll talk about that in our not so deep dives. But
yeah, I think Keaton Parks could make a move too in the future, similar to James Sands.
this goes back to the Keaton Parks in the January camp conversation, doesn't it?
I guess so. I don't know. We need a full season from Keaton, I think.
Yeah, he had that blood clot that forced him out, which sucked. But I think Keaton Parks at his best is a third tier men's national team player. He's not breaking into the top team. I don't think he's better than our second tier. I think he's probably third, maybe fourth tier. Does that mean he gets into the January camp? I don't know. That's something we'll talk about later. Do you have anything else you want to add, or do you want to go to the last team?
Let's go to the last one.
Who's the last team?
Is it
You've guessed them 4 times.
DC?
It's TC. I'll let you go first.
Have I really guessed them 4 times?
Yes, every time I say something, like, "Oh, is it DC?"
I've only got 3 names on my list. I've got Taxi Fontas, I've got Jackson Hopkins, and I got Moses Nyman.
Nice. I kept the people who are out on loan off the list. I like the Jackson Hopkins shout. I've got Nigel Robertha on there. I think given more time in the attacking phase, I think he can do well for Wayne Rooney this year. And yeah, Taxi Fontes obviously came in, lit the league on fire, and then missed the playoffs. So this is going to be another interesting team that we'll talk about in depth in our deep dives. But for now, that's just the players who we think might be in the move in the next 12 months or so. Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
I don't either, because we've been talking way too long. I've seen you too much.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening, for watching. If you got this far, if you're just listening to clips throughout the episode to catch your favorite teams, we appreciate you. Make sure you go follow us everywhere you get your podcasts so you know when we go live. And make sure you follow us on all forms of social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We're posting as much as we can for 2 people with day jobs. So, go ahead, follow along, interact with us, share, and go get some good MLS content. The season's over, the World Cup's over, but just 2 months from now, we'll be back at it. Season starts in 1 month and 30 days. So we got some work to do. We'll be prepping early and getting ready for it. But we hope you're ready because we're going to go for season 4. Jeez, crazy. But yeah, again, thanks everybody for listening to episode 133, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.